Hello everyone, welcome back. This is actually my very first video, not counting the introduction video. So today I want to talk about how I came to Vietnam. Now, back in December 2017, I went ahead and was feeling rather lonely. Now, I tried online dating and I tried things like, Match.com and what was the other one? Uh, let's see, there's Match.com, there's eHarmony, that's the other one. Match.com, eHarmony, all those dating websites, not one of them worked. So I actually got this harebrained idea one day to start writing letters in different languages and then put it on Craigslist. I know, of all places, Craigslist. So what happened was I went ahead and wrote letters in, I think it was Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. Now, I actually took the letter, wrote it in English, translated it into the other language, then translated it back into English. Now, what happened was the fact that if it came out right, I went ahead and put the other language portion like Chinese, Spanish, or Vietnamese into the letter itself, and then I just keep on going. Because I'd write it out in English, then translate it to the other language, then translate it back into English. And if the two English portions matched, that's what I did. I took the portion that's in the other language and put it in the letter. Now, the problem is the fact that sometimes if they don't match, I have to go back through and retool everything so that it works out just right. Now, I know Google Translator is okay for short sentences, but not for whole letters. This one was 5 pages long, written in three different languages. So, yeah, it took me a long time to go ahead and write all those letters out. Now, the Spanish speaking one, I sent that to the Mexican Craigslist. Nothing happened. The Chinese speaking one, I sent that to the Chinese Craigslist, and let's just say that the results I got were less than stellar. So I posted the Vietnamese one, and my future wife actually responded on Valentine's Day at 3:15 in the morning Central Standard Time because back then I was working night shift, so that was totally fine for me to be awake at that time. Well, my wife asked me, being that she didn't know me at the time, she asked me if I was willing to talk to a quiet woman, and I said, "Sure." So what made this one different was that, there's this little voice in the back of your head that tells you not to do stuff. Well, the little voice in the back of my head was telling me, don't mess this up, don't mess this up, don't mess this up. So that's what I did. I actually took it slow, took things right, actually was, doing things the way I should. And one thing led to another. We fell in love. I went ahead and was speaking about her, bragging about her to my coworkers and everything like that. And people are like, well, needless to say, not a lot of coworkers were very happy for me. So essentially, I still pressed ahead anyways. I went ahead and actually bought a one-way plane ticket to come here to Vietnam. People are like, well, that's dangerous and blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, it is what it is. I was ready for a change in my life, and it's what I wanted. So essentially, what happened was my wife, then fiance, fell in love. We got married not 2 weeks after I landed because I landed on October 29th, I think it was, and October 31st was when I actually got to meet my wife's parents for the first time. That is a little side note in of itself. Now, the thing is the fact that, in Vietnam, the family structure is quite well structured. It's heavy patriarchal, which, that goes back to ancient times and different reasons for that. Now, just like a lot of other countries, Vietnam is modernizing, but some ancient thoughts are, they're still here. There's nothing we can do about that. Now, here's the thing. When I went ahead and wrote the letter, I went ahead and wrote a general letter about myself, what I'm looking for in a woman and stuff like that. But then when I sent a care package to my future wife, I also included a letter to her family and her parents to let them know about me. And what happened was they liked it. I mean, it was translated into Vietnamese using Google Translator, and my wife helped out a bit. And because see, Google Translator is great, but unfortunately with Vietnamese, it kind of messes it up a little bit. So my wife went and read the letter, proofread it, and she went ahead and made certain modifications to make it sound a little bit more natural. So essentially, They read the letter, they got to know more about me, and when I actually met them in person, it was a different experience unlike anything I've ever had. Now, when I went ahead and came to Vietnam, I stayed in hotels for the first couple of weeks because, before marriage, not supposed to live together. That's fine. I got to see a lot of the Benton area, like Benton Market, and I got to see the War Remnants Museum, and also got to see the Independence Palace and a lot of other features. Now, we'll say that getting married, after that, we went ahead and started the process to apply for my TRC card, which was a hassle in of itself. This is back in 2018, before COVID. So yeah, it was a hassle. But then after the TRC card was gotten, I went ahead and well, essentially, I just went ahead and started applying for work and stuff like that. And I quickly found out that here in Vietnam, the only work a foreigner like me can actually do is teach English. We're not allowed to do anything else. We're not allowed to be anything else but English teachers. Now, there are those of us who have, high degrees that can get different jobs in different sectors, but for people like me specifically that don't have a doctorate or a master's or even a bachelor's degree, I have college trade certificates, which are legal to prove college education here in Vietnam. But unfortunately, the requirements are bachelor's, bachelor's, bachelor's. So, what can I do? But anyways, that's a separate topic for another time. Anyways, moving on, the fact that I've, got married, the ceremony was great. After that, fast forward a few years, and now I have a kid. And my daughter's 17 months old. She's very, very opinionated. I know, 17 months old, and she already knows her own mind. She starts to walk, she starts to talk, she starts to do all that stuff. Now, the thing is the fact that here in Vietnam, raising kids, it's not just you. It's not just, you, your partner, and your kid. It's you, your partner's family, your family, everybody's extended family. It's literally an entire family affair for just one kid. And yeah, so it's just one of those things. Now, anywho, the other thing I wanted to talk about beyond that was the fact that, okay, so just continuing on. So here's the thing. Another thing about Vietnam that I like is the food. And the very first thing I had was durian. And durian fruit, now some people say it smells terrible, but to me, it really didn't smell like much of anything. I did smell it, and it smelled kind of off, but I wanted to eat it anyways, and it's actually quite sweet. The flavor, it's not really describable so much, but I'd say to me it's kind of sweet and it has that kind of tang to it. But other than that, it's not too bad. And then the fermented shrimp paste, I've had that too. I've had both the red and the purple version. Really, it's not much of anything. It's just food. And then some people go ahead and talk about balut. That's what they call it in the Philippines, but here in Vietnam, it's called hot vít lon for the duck eggs and hot cút lon for the little quail eggs. Little quail eggs are like this. Anyways, they're basically embryos of either ducks or quail that's basically boiled alive and you eat it. Now, some people are like, ew, why would you eat that? And I go, well, it's a snack. It's not meant to be food. See, the problem with eating those embryos is the fact that it's very high cholesterol. So you eat too many of them, it's going to stick to your heart. But other than that, I've I've eaten a lot of different food here in Vietnam, and what I like is actually just simple food like beef soup noodles, chicken soup noodles, uh, things like just simple sandwiches, like egg sandwiches, meat sandwiches, hot meat sandwiches, stuff like that. And see, with me, I live in Ho Chi Minh City in District 12, which I know it's not in District 2. But see, the thing is, though, is the fact that I don't want to live in foreigner heavy areas like District 2, District 7, Phu Nguyen District, uh, Benton District. I don't want to live in any foreigner heavy areas because of, that's right, folks, gentrification. Gentrification is what happens when you have a bunch of rich people that move into a poor area and prices raise up because of the fact that the rich people that move in have a lot of money. And that causes the price of everything to go up from rent, food, utilities, everything. Now, the common people can't afford the higher rent and the higher food, higher utility bills, so they have to move. But then that invites other people who can pay more to live there. So essentially, it starts to push the poor people out while allowing the rich people to move in. Now, I live in District 12, as I mentioned earlier, and everything here is cheap. You pay 10,000 dong for a cup of coffee most of the time, pay 15,000 dong for a sandwich, pay 25, 30,000 dong for some noodles with hot meat on it. It's just simple and cheap. And out here, they also have apartments and small houses for rent too. Also, extremely cheap. But in the foreigner heavy areas, you get the same apartment, but the price is 2 to 3 times higher because foreigners can't afford it. But it's price gouging and it's illegal. At least that's what I think. But anywho, moving on from all that, the other thing about Vietnam that I don't like is the water because of the fact that in Vietnam, you can't drink the water straight out of the tap like you can in the US. You have to boil it. Now, some homes, mine included, I don't own the home that I'm in, it's just I live here. Anyways, this house is equipped with a water machine, so we can get water out of the water machine and drink it like that, or we can boil it. But yeah, if you drink the water straight here in Vietnam, it's not going to be good for you at all. So yeah, just boil it or take it through a water machine first before you drink it. What else? What else? What else? So the other thing I want to talk about is that with the different types, okay, okay, here we go. Culture. Culture here in Vietnam is very steeped. What I mean by that is simple. Here in Vietnam, culture goes back thousands of years. Thousands of years. And some thoughts take a long time to change. Some will change, some won't. Now, some foreigners, they are shocked when they come to Vietnam because of the food, because of the culture, because of, beverages, because of this, that, and the other. Me, I didn't have any problems because I knew enough about Asian culture in general, maybe not a lot about Vietnamese culture, but about Asian culture in general to know what to do, what not to do, and things like that. And generally, I had no problems. But sometimes I'll go ahead and have people try to charge me more for the same thing that they wouldn't charge a local citizen more over because I'm a foreigner. And again, it's perceived that foreigners can pay more because they make more than locals, which technically it actually is true. But since I'm not an English teacher or anything like that, I don't feel that I need to pay more for something that a local citizen doesn't have to pay more on. For example, in Tao Dien Ward of District 2, they have coffee shops there that sell a cup of coffee from a machine for about 60 to 80,000 dong or more. Yet out here in District 12, I can get that exact same cup of coffee for 10,000 dong. In District 1, if you want to get a sandwich, there it's like 25 to 50,000 dong or more just for a sandwich. Out here in District 12, 15,000 dong. You want to get an apartment, just a simple one-bedroom apartment, can cost you anywhere, District 2, from about 12, 15 million dong on up. Here in District 12, it's like 3, maybe 5 if you want a house. And unfortunately, because of gentrification, it's, pushing prices up, which is causing people to move. Now, where I live right now, gentrification hasn't happened yet, but it will. And when it does, my family, my wife, my daughter, and myself are going to have to move to an area where there's no gentrification because I don't want to pay more for the same stuff just because I'm not a local citizen. Anywho, moving on. So let's see. So far, I covered how I came to Vietnam, covered a little bit how I got married, talked about food. Let's see. Traffic. Yeah, traffic's a big one. See, here in Vietnam, traffic is chaotic. Now, I'm used to American traffic where, it's not as packed or as congested as Vietnamese traffic is. Plus, in American traffic, there's hardly any mopeds. But here in Vietnam, mopeds are everywhere. The problem is the fact that a lot of people, foreigners and local citizens included, ignore traffic laws. They ignore stoplights, they ignore traffic flow patterns, they ignore a lot of things that they shouldn't ignore. They go wrong way on one way only streets. They don't use turn signals, don't use lights at night, they go racing, everything like that. But I use a moped in Vietnamese traffic, and to me, it's not that hard at all. It isn't. It's just you have to be very careful. You have to have situational awareness. You have to go ahead and know where everything is around you so that if something happens, you can react quickly. That's why I've been in Vietnam over 4 years, haven't had a single accident, not one. I'm actually proud of that. That also uses my experience as a taxi driver and also my experience as a box truck driver as well. So I know a lot about how to react to different, situations like that. The other thing about Vietnam that I like is the fact that the food is fresh. It's fresh. You can walk down to any wet market and go ahead and get everything you need for your meals for the day, just like that. You could buy fresh food every single day if you wanted to, or buy fresh food once a week. Doesn't really matter. But it's fresh. The only thing you have to deal with is whether or not the person selling it, what they're selling is legitimate or not, or if it's still fresh or not. That's it. But other than that, the food is good. Everything else is good. Coffee. Coffee is a very, very big thing here in Vietnam. You will see coffee shops on just about every street corner. You'll see people selling coffee from little pitchers. You'll see people selling coffee from machines. You'll see people selling coffee in coffee shops on the side of the road. Literally everywhere has a coffee stand. Now, me personally, I like machine made coffee. I don't like concentrated coffee because to me it just doesn't taste right. And I drink my coffee straight. No sugar, no milk, none of that. Just straight black. Now, sometimes I'll give myself a little treat and I'll go ahead and give myself one with milk and sugar in it, but most of the time I just like a straight black. And I can drink 3 cups of coffee and not even bat an eye, but no more than that. Um, I actually have a coffee shop that I'm literally less than 50 meters away from that I'm really good friends with the owner. All I have to do is just call him up, tell him I want some coffee, and it's right here within 10 minutes. That's because normally I don't leave my house unless I absolutely have to, and he's happy to do it. And I buy from him every single time I can because his coffee is reasonably priced, 10,000 dong a cup. It tastes decent, and I drink it every single day. But people are like, well, for that much money, why don't you buy a machine and do it yourself? And I go, why? I'm supporting small business. I'm helping the neighborhood. And it also helps image too. So by buying from a local coffee shop, by buying from a local small business, you're actually helping yourself at the same time. But the other thing about where I live in particular is the fact that the street got raised up about 1.5 meters. Now, for houses that were built before that, that means they are now in a flooding area. Hopefully, some of the other areas, they're not going to go ahead and get flooded quite as badly in this neighborhood. But my house and the other houses haven't seen as much flooding because we have good drainage. But if we didn't have good drainage, it'd be terrible. Anywho, let's see. What else do I have to talk about? Let's see. Talk about food, neighborhood, everything like that. Yeah. Okay, so I pretty much talked about Vietnam in detail. I'm gonna go ahead and probably release another video talking more about this in the future. On a side note, what I wanted to tell everyone is this. As you can see, I don't have a green screen behind me. I don't have a professional microphone or anything like that. I'm just using my headset. I'm using my cell phone for the camera, and I'm actually using my laptop. That's all I'm doing. Now, if you want to go ahead and donate to me, what I would ask is that if you want to donate cash, That's cool, but please make it in Vietnamese, dong, because that's where I live and that's what I accept. Second, if you want to donate stuff to me like electronics, food, stuff like that, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and I'll gladly go ahead and accept it. Now, here's the thing. Um, as far as electronics go, it has to be new and unopened. I'm smart enough. I know how to go ahead and install programs and stuff myself. So, new, unopened. Now, the only exception to this is if it got a screen protector installed. So, like if you installed a screen protector or something like that, that's okay. Just don't install programs on it. Don't do nothing else. Just install a screen protector if you want, and that's it. Other than that, it has to be new and unopened. Reason why is because of the fact that I don't want to accept something that might have a program on it that might steal information from me, or accept something that might, I don't know, go ahead and, let other people know what I'm doing or something like that. I don't know. But that's the reason why it has to be new and unopened. Plus, I'm going to do my own checks on it, and if I find something I don't like, I delete it. So, yeah. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and cut this channel short for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and see you again in the next video. So, next video, I think I'm actually going to talk about teaching experiences. We'll see. Anywho, have a good day and be safe.